Alcamo is a town located in northern Sicily, which is the largest island in Italy. While today Alcamo is the fourth largest town in the commune of Trapane, back in 1966 was just a small town with many farms and a lot of families that almost all knew each other. As all southern Italy was back then, at a first glance you could say that Alcamo townspeople were a tight-knit community. But the sunny town was not at all friendly to a family that went by the name of Viola. The community ostracized Bernardo Viola and his family. They would continuously receive death threats, and things would culminate when their vineyard and barn would be torched and burned to the ground. This is the tragic story of Franca Viola. Franca Viola was born in a rural town in Alcamo, Sicily, and was the oldest daughter of Bernardo Viola, a local farmer. In 1963, at the age of 15, she was engaged to Filippo Melodia, a 23-year-old nephew of mafia member Vincenzo Rimi. Filippo Melodia was subsequently arrested for theft, and Franca's father insisted she break off the engagement, which she did. Filippo Melodia then moved to Germany for unknown reasons. By 1965, Viola was engaged to another man, and around that same time, Filippo Melodia returned to Alcamo and was trying unsuccessfully to re-enter into Franca Viola's life. He would start stalking her and would threaten both her father and boyfriend. But that wouldn't be the end of it. In the early hours of 26 December 1965, Melodia and a group of 12 armed companions broke into the Viola home and kidnapped Franca by dragging her into a car, in the process of beating up Viola's father and also taking with them Franca's 8-year-old brother Mariano, who refused to let go of his sister. Mariano was released a few hours later, but Franca was held for 8 days in the home of Melodia's sister and her husband, a farmhouse on the outskirts of the town. During this time, Franca was repeatedly raped. Filippo Melodia told her that now she would be forced to marry him so as not to become a dishonored woman. But Franca Viola replied that she had no intention of marriage, and moreover she would have him sued for kidnapping and rape. On 31st of December, Filippo Melodia contacted Viola's father Bernardo for the pacciata, which was a Sicilian tradition that would mean an appeasement, when the boyfriend of a woman who ran away from her family would strike a deal between the families of the man and the woman who eloped. Bernardo Viola pretended to negotiate with the kidnappers, saying that he agreed and consented to the marriage, while collaborating with the Carabinieri police in preparing a successful dragnet operation. After the successful police operation, Franca was freed and her kidnappers were arrested on the 2nd of January 1966, 7 days before her 18th birthday. She said her father did ask her if she really wanted to marry Filippo Melodia, and when she said she did not, he told her he would do everything possible to help her. Now their battle was against the law and the society. Filippo Melodia offered Viola a so-called rehabilitating marriage, but she refused, thus acting against what was the common practice in the Sicilian society at the time. According to the traditional norms, this choice would make her a donna svergognata, translated as a woman without honor, because she had lost her virginity and remained unwed. These concepts were not exclusive in Sicily or rural areas because, to some extent, they were also implicit in the Italian criminal code at the time, which equated rape to a crime against public morality rather than a personal offense, and formalized the idea of a rehabilitating marriage known as matrimonio riparatore in Italian, stating that a rapist who married his victim would have his crime automatically expunged. Franca Viola would refuse any of such requests, and this is when the Viola family were reportedly menaced, ostracized, and persecuted by most townspeople. One night, their vineyard and barn were torched. All these events and the eventual trial resonated powerfully with the Italian media and public. The parliament itself was directly involved, as it became obvious that part of the existing criminal code was at odds with mass public opinion. During trial, Filippo Melodia's lawyers claimed Viola had consented to a so-called fuitina, elopement, which was, as we mentioned earlier, the act of fleeing voluntarily to get married secretly rather than being kidnapped. But at the end of the trial, Filippo Melodia was found guilty. He was sentenced to 11 years in prison, later reduced to 10 years, with a 2-year period of compulsory residence in Modena after release, which was a city in northern Italy, 1,500 kilometers away from Alcamo town in Sicily. 5 of his friends were acquitted, and the others received relatively mild sentences. Filippo Melodia was released from prison in 1976 and was killed on the 13th of April 1978 in a mafia-style execution before he could return to Sicily. His killers remain at large. The article of law whereby a rapist could vacate his crime by marrying his victim was not abolished until 1981. Sexual violence became a crime against the person instead of against public morality only in 1996.
È vero che lei è stato il primo amore di Franca Viola?
In un certo qual modo sì.
Quante lettere d'amore ha scritto a Franca?
Non li ho mai contati, guarda.
Franca Viola married Giuseppe Ruisi in December 1968, when she was 21 years old. They had liked each other since childhood. Giuseppe Ruisi, an accountant, insisted he would have married the girl he had long loved despite threats and rumors, but he had to request a firearms license after being married to protect himself and his wife. Both the Italian president at the time, Giuseppe Saragat, and Pope Paul VI publicly expressed their appreciation of Franca Viola's courage and their solidarity with the couple. President Saragat sent the couple a wedding gift, and the Pope received them in a private audience soon after the wedding. Viola and Ruisi would go on to have 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter. The family still lives in Alcamo,